Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, and this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Arwin. How you doing, Arwin? Good to have you.
Hey Nathan, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It seems that the warm spell has passed and it's now raining outside. Ooh.
Well, it goes in these 2-week cycles. Subscribe to Stephen Chess for more information on flat Earth weather.
Yeah. So, how was the rum yesterday?
I'm not going to drink it. I mean, I've bought it because I'm going to go up to St. Bees in a couple of weeks. And Anthony literally gave me a super chat and said, buy rum. So I was like, meh, fair enough. I'll go buy rum. I haven't bought any hookers or cocaine.
Nah, $2 is a little cheap.
Yes. You can't get much cocaine or hookers for $2. But thank you for the super chats yesterday. Much obliged. So what do you know, Arwin? Found any curvature?
Well, I think that with this this rainy weather, there seems to be a little bit more apparent curvature, but I don't think it's physical. So.
Really? You think there'll be a spate of globe sightings from the globe heads?
Yeah, probably. Obstruction is their best friend.
Obstruction.
Okay. In the literal and the metaphysical sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So yeah, maybe we'll see some obstruction observation from the globies over the next couple of weeks. We can only hope. There's quite a few things outstanding already. At least 2 or 3 observations from Ranty and 1 big observation from Anthony that's just not been addressed. You know.
Nope. Now, unless there's this optical slant present, then they really have nothing to counter it with. If there's not even an apparent curve present, then they really have nothing to say.
Shout out to slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena. Shout out to Joey for the super chat. Peace on the plane. Indeed.
So there was quite a debate yesterday with Charles. Charles,
same
the
as ever.
Presuppositional hedgehog.
Same BS, different day.
Presuppositional sphere hedgehog.
Yeah, presuppositional sphere hedgehog. That's the one.
Yep. Well, if anybody is one of those, then it's Charles.
Yeah, I mirrored a little chunk of yesterday's just before this. Just like a 10-minute teaser of the debate.
Yeah, that was good. I'm still quite curious as to all of his 15 observations. We got to 3, I think.
2.
Nah, 3. He started out with the moon. Then he talked about the channel. And then, again, he brought in the sun. So it's two heavenly observations and an apparent slant caused by diffraction. So I wonder what else he has. Probably got to be more of the same.
Who knows? I mean, no doubt it'll be a bag full of presupposition like last time.
Yep.
And now I've given up all hope of them actually ever proving the sphericity of Earth. You know, I'll be honest. Shooting fish in the barrel at the moment, as far as I'm concerned. No one's going to actually come up with any scientific evidence of Earth's sphericity because there is none. And I'm pretty sure Charles conceded that when he entered yesterday. He's like, well, I've got about 8 ways of calculating R. Unfortunately, you'll reject them all because they're all based on the presupposition that we're on a sphere. It's like, okay, well, it's nice that you've disclaimed that, Charles, thank you. But doesn't that set alarm bells off? Doesn't that mean anything to anybody? Clearly not.
No, I think they're pretty satisfied with having lots of testimonies for their beliefs. Enough people echo them, then they're satisfied with that.
I like having Nummy on the panel because Nummy summarises stuff really nicely. So in the midst of that debate, he said, look, Charles, is it the case that you believe that with enough presuppositional arguments, it forms proof?
Yep.
And the answer is yeah. Enough
think
examples that
funny
start on a
because
sphere, then a monosphere.
it's funny because Charles basically started out. He like shifted his lingo during his argumentation. That at first it was all proof and measurements, and then eventually it became observations, and then drawing conclusions based on these observations. If you put the observations together, it'll form proof. It's really weird.
Yeah, non-scientific. Just so stories backed up by observation.
Yeah. Well, I've observed it's pretty flat, so that kind of contrasts.
Yeah, a few people in the chat have said, well, aren't you presupposing that it's flat? It's like, no, you make the same measurements. There's a presupposition inserted by globe heads, and that's this R value I keep asking for. So you can do the same thing and remove that R value, which is the presuppositional part of the mathematics.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Earth is obviously and observably flat. This is a point conceded on both sides.
I still keep wondering though, is how the flat Earth, what the layout really is of the continents, how it's interconnected.
That's all part of the deception, though, isn't it? There are no accurate maps.
Now there don't seem to be any.
Yeah, there isn't. I mean, I came to that conclusion 3 years ago.
Yeah. I'm
Bruno,
just wondering.
I'm going to do a few shout-outs. Someone said, oh, you're going to do some shout-outs? And I thought, well, why not? It's been a while. Sean Pierce, good to have you. Sarah, nice to see you. Met Sarah at the Flat Earth conference. Individual one, hello. Ali B, good to see you as well. Josh Corey of the Iron Realm, thank you for frequenting our chat. Effie Viking, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Ignorant Strength. Say that right? Yes, I did. Good to have you. Thanks for being here. Nice to see you, Johnny. Any more for any more? Rune Thornson, thanks for being here. Chocolate saying, good to have you.
Hey.
Hey, Anthony.
Hello.
Hello.
How are we?
Very well. Very well. Just going to do a couple more shout outs. Tony, good to see you, Tony. Thanks for the super chat yesterday. Didn't buy any hookers.
Did get some rum though.
I did get some rum. You paid for it, so can't turn down free rum. Good to see you, Was. Good to see you in the Science is Ace mashup. Relic Pick 1. Hope I've said that right. Real Ice Pick 1. There you go. If I could read. Sean G, Joey.
How long have you been live?
Not very long. 10 minutes. You got back quick.
Yeah, it was literally down the road. Like my
Okay.
first car boot sale where I've been a seller rather than a buyer. It was weird. Everything I thought that would sell didn't. Everything that I didn't think would sell went straight away, literally within the first 5 minutes. Madness.
Eyebolt, hello. Flatlander, hello. Nice grow shaft. Is that right? Knee grow shaft. Oh, God. Some of these chat names. M. Scott Veach, good to see you. Dunning Kruger, good to have you. Andre Browning, nice to see you as well. Unearther, thanks for being in the chat. Adam Meekin, hello. Dawn, hello.
And Dan Winfield, hello.
Dan W, hello. Any more for any more? Mercury Messenger, hello. James Richard, I think that's it. If I've missed you, I'm really sorry.
Still no response from any of the ballers for why Ranty's 18-mile observation is the complete and utter opposite of Soundly's 18-mile observation. Soundly's has got lots of optical effects in it, otherwise known as refraction. Ranty's has got nothing, virtually nothing, and nobody's got a response for it. I find that quite interesting. Why is it that they both look completely different? And if it's all down to refraction, why does one of them look normal and the other one looks naff?
Likewise, there's been, a whole big kerfuffle when you withheld the observation from the beach. And now it's fully out, and there's been nothing, literally nothing.
The Rumpus said that he would release his hangout simultaneously, and 2, 3, 4 weeks later, or however long it's been, nothing.
Oh
It's
yeah,
never been that long,
I
has
almost
it?
forgot about it.
When was the conference?
Rumpus hasn't got anything to say.
Can't be that
No,
long.
I
It's only a
guess
couple of weeks.
that was the idea. It's like,
Slice
just
market.
promise it'll come. He did in NASA. He basically said, yeah, it's gonna happen, and then people just forget about it.
Slice Arcane still pretends that he can't see the floaty land, even though the Rumpus and even Jeremy admits that he can see it. Yet Slice Arcane can't see it, apparently. He's a joke. At least Rumpus is honest enough. Even Jeremy's honest enough to admit that there is the land there that we would expect to see, yet What's-His-Face can't see it. I find it really interesting that there's still this literal denial going on. And I think these ballers are hoping that we'll just stop talking about it so that it doesn't get any airtime. I won't be stopping talking about it. Ranty's 18-mile observation, bit of a perler.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I wonder if Dawn Treader's got an answer for us. Yeah, my first car boot sale today. It was weird. It was weird. They got to a moment where, like, all of a sudden, everybody immediately packed up within like 10 seconds. It seemed like 10 minutes of each other. It was like one packed up, so everybody then did it.
Get the vultures when you first arrived.
Yeah. Literally, it was like the table came out the back of the car, started putting stuff on it, and they were literally taking stuff out the boot of the car before it was even out.
Yeah, they're going to resell it all. That's their idea. Arrive early enough with an empty car, go and buy some stuff off the gullible people there, set up a pitch and resell it for a few quid more.
I guess so. But we ended up, we came away with 123 quid.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not bad for an hour's work, 2 hours work, maybe. Probably an hour and 40 minutes work.
I've completely survived on eBay and car boots when I was out of work. I don't know how many years ago now, quite some time ago. But literally, all I did was ask people that I knew for their tat, like stuff that they would car boot but couldn't bother to have a morning for 100 quid. And I'd just say, look, give me all your tat, I'll take all of it. And I'd just clear out like a room or a house or whatever that people had that they didn't want anymore. I'd bundle it all in the car. I'd say, look, no questions asked, I'll just take it all away. I filled up, obviously, what is now the kids' bedroom, so I couldn't do this now, with stuff and just listed 10, maybe 20 items a day on eBay every single day. And, just churn through garbage at £1 or £2 an item. Just to keep me going, keep the mortgage paid. Ah, fun times.
I'm lucky enough that I don't have a mortgage anymore to keep going, so it's all beer money for me. So I can't find any curvature in the real world, but I don't mind making my own. Get in my belly.
You have to say it with a Scottish accent.
Pardon?
You have to say it properly with a Scottish accent.
Get in my belly.
No,
I can't do a Scottish
in my
accent.
belly.
I can't do a Scottish accent. I always sound Irish for some reason, or Welsh. It was weird though to do it from the opposite side of the table, because I'm normally the one that goes around and says, "I'll give you £4 for this," and it's on for 7 or whatever.
Oh, everyone loves haggling. I love haggling.
Yeah, I love it as well. This woman said to me, she said, "I'll give you 150 for this," and I went, "It's got to be worth £2 that," and she went, "It's on for £2." I said, "It's worth it."
That's exactly my line. It's worth what it's listed for.
Yes. But oddly, books,
Hey,
CDs,
Ranty.
and DVDs didn't sell. We sold one DVD and it was Avatar, and that was the only one that I didn't want to sell.
You wanted to keep Avatar?
Yeah, I like Avatar.
Oh, right, okay.
It was like a landmark movie, wasn't it? It was like the first one of its kind, and it was like, I mean, probably looking back on it now, it won't be anywhere near as good, but at the time I was like, wow, this is fantastic.
I keep them all. I've never given away or sold any DVDs. I just keep them all. Popped them all on the computer just before I found out the Earth is flat, and now I hardly watch any of them.
Yeah. Too busy looking for curve that doesn't exist.
Yeah, sort of.
Bronzy, have you only just joined, or did you hear me talking about your 18-mile observation and how no ballers have responded to it at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have just joined, so I've probably missed what you had to say.
Yeah, there's no curve, mate.
Oh, we know that.
It's flat as a pancake, and they all tell us that pictures from space, and I'm like, who gives a crap about pictures from space that no one can validate or verify to be true? We can see that there is no curve, there is no drop, there is no bulge. We see stuff because it's a clear day. And ballers just don't like it. So they're just ignoring it. They're full on ignoring it. And I just find it fantastic that that's what they're doing.
You're going to have to stop saying because it's a clear day. Because I've seen, I mean, even yesterday when you knew full well it was choppy and not very clear, you could still see the Isle of Man.
Yeah, all right. Let me define what I mean when I say clear. Unobstructed rather than sunny. You know, like the visibility is high, so it's clear. You can see, because at the end of the day, that's all it is. On a clear day, you can see further.
Well, I'm looking to go back today and hopefully capture a similar thing. But again, we'll try and see what happens. It's all about experiments, isn't it, basically?
Do you know, it's funny because they've got the power of consensus. But I look at them and I just realise it's embarrassing that you're on the side that's got the consensus. We're the minority, but we've got all the evidence, and you're the majority, and I've got none. Literally none. You have pictures from space that look like CGI. My dog sounds like he's being strangled.
Out of 2, Rune for the... Sorry, Rene for the $5. Thank you very much. Happy Mother's Day to you. Not Mother's Day here. It is in the States.
Nathan, can you present me for a second?
I can.
I have a bone to pick with somebody.
A bone?
A bone, yes. I have a bone to pick with someone.
Surely you got a bone and you're bound to pick it with me.
No, absolutely not. No, it's you was just saying before that no baller has tried to debunk the observation.
No, they're ignoring it.
Yeah, well, when we say no baller, we do have at least one baller that has attempted it. Some guy called
The Boss 24611.
Yes, that's the one. So essentially, he's taken issue with firstly the image that I used to promote the video, which is land at 29 miles and proof, basically land at 29 miles. And he goes into basically at the very end, he will say, what is it? Just get it up. So apparently I added 12 miles to the observation, right? Ranty added an extra 12 miles to the real distance, right? So that's the first thing. So he's taken issue with the 29 land seen at 29 miles. Well, let me show you the land seen at 29 miles, which is here. And you could also evidence this land here because that's at 29 miles. But yeah, this is the land that was seen at 29 miles.
So he's wrong to call you a liar.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. And throughout the entire time that we've always talked about it, I've always quoted 18 miles to the clock tower, etc., etc.
Yeah, what a knob.
Yeah. So, firstly, he's calling me a liar for that. So
You know who this is going to be. This is going to be a soccer count of who's
it
the one.
is. I'll tell you. I'll tell you for why. Because the guy never speaks throughout the video, but he's very, very good with it. He uses Google Earth. He's got all the tools ready to go. He's very quick in typing everything in. He knows his programs back to front. It's somebody that's used to using all this kind of software, except he doesn't speak. He puts.
Yeah, I wonder why he doesn't speak.
Yeah, it's definitely somebody that's a known baller, but he's obviously going under the pseudonym The Boss, whatever.
Right, so why don't we go flat smack that channel just for the sheer fun of it? Everybody go over, dislike the video and put some...
And one other thing I just want to pull up is that Oxy, who is somebody that replied to the video, put, excellent job. Ranty later shows still photos which not resemble the video at all. We'll kind of agree with that, but not entirely. So the stills must be shot on a higher location or even another day, right? So that's what he's just said, right? A higher location or another day. Well, I've actually got, this is pausing on the video, DSCN 3701. This is a pause on the video. Behind this post is the lighthouse, right? That's why I moved at a later observation to actually to see this. So it was being obscured, right? And here is an image that I took, wherever it's gone. 718, this is an image that I actually took, one of the still images whilst crouching down. The lighthouse is in exactly the same position, right? There's no parallax going on. It's identical. I didn't move a single inch from my location. And I certainly wasn't at a higher elevation. So again, they've tried, they've failed. They called me a liar, which is wrong, obviously. And I think none of the ballers that we know, like Gem Panda and such, haven't
Hold on. You still one outstanding issue. So you
What's
say
that?
30 miles, 29 miles.
Sorry, say again.
That obviously wasn't a big enough lead in. So he's saying that the land is not at 30 miles, right? So just debunk him on Google Earth and show, because there is a little bit of ambiguity with that land.
Yeah, the part I highlighted in his thumbnail is important. Hint, it's not 29 miles, right? So essentially he's calling me a liar that the land seen at 29 miles, blah, blah, blah. Right, let me show you the land, if I can get Google Earth up. Hopefully it'll work. So I was actually giving them the benefit of the doubt of the land seen at 29 miles, because that's actually better for them if they agree that it's the land at 29 miles. They could agree that it's the sand dunes in the foreground at 20 feet. Or I was giving them the benefit of the doubt, saying the 29-mile land was evidenced. Right, so filming location. Let's see how far 29 miles takes me. Oh, here we go. What's this? What's this land here to the side of the mountain? What's this peak over here? This altitude, 69 feet, 70, 80, 90 feet of land, 130-foot land there, right? 29 miles away. So land is evidenced in the video at 29 miles. And that would be to the right, to the left-hand side of the buildings in the foreground in a line of sight. So again, I'll just show you the land that's evidenced, which is here. Or if they want to say that that isn't the case, they can have this land in the foreground here, which is at 13.5 miles or so, but the elevation is down to 30 feet, 20 feet, 19 feet. They can have that elevation if they want.
Cool.
Either way.
Ranty, do me a favour.
Yes.
Go to his video.
Yep. Okay, yep.
and just press F5 and refresh that page. Fucking hell, press it.
I pressed it.
You stamped on it. Right, scroll down a little bit.
Okay. Let me
No
pause
swearing,
that.
please.
Yeah.
Right, so there's my comment of a minute ago. Why isn't there a bulge obstructing the whole of the shoreline? Why is there no drop? Why are you calling Ranty a liar based on a truth? The land is 29 miles and the shore in the foreground is 18 miles. Please remove this honest drivel. Let's everybody go over there and give him a negative comment. Just because he's an idiot. I mean, it's obviously somebody that we know and that won't speak on camera because reasons. So
Yeah.
let's see some negative comments on there because there is no explanation for this. It defies all the geometry. It isn't refraction because it just so happens to look flat again. All these special conditions that they keep talking about. Let's go and join it. Let's go and give him a nasty comment. Not a nasty comment, but a negative comment.
But I also think that Oxy shouldn't get away without having some kind of response to this. He basically says that I'd taken it from a much higher location or even on another day. A higher location or even another day because the images don't match the video. Again, I'm going to show you still on the video. There's the lighthouse behind the pole. And if I show you the image, this image, there's the lighthouse behind the pole, right? This was DSCN 3718. And if I show you that on, let's have a look, 104, this will tell you the times that these were taken. So the video was shot 3701. It says date modified 10:35 a.m., right? The next image shot 10:35 a.m. The next image shot 10:35. Let's go down to 7:13, 10:35. Again, I was click happy. Next one, 10:36. So DSCM 3718, the one I've used to compare my exact location.
Just load it. Just click
10:36, 1 minute after the video finished.
Click it though. Just open that file, please, Randy.
Open it up. There's the image. If I right click it and go to properties, it will show. Where are we? Right, so there's the latitude and the longitude. There's the date created, 5th of the 6th, 2018 at 10:36 a.m. Date modified, obviously, the same time. And I haven't moved a single inch.
It's good to smack these idiots down quick, sharp.
Indeed.
Yeah, we need to go over and give him a negative comment because he hasn't explained the point of the video. The point of the video was to explain why there isn't a bulge between the observer and the shoreline. I mean, Cat Earth wants to see the beach, and he's got a big, massive rock on the beach. Why isn't there a bulge between us and the observer? Why isn't there a drop between us and the observation point? Forget the land at 30 miles away. Who cares? Where's the curviness between here and there?
There we go. Latitude, longitude of the 3702. Date created 5th of the 6th, 2018, 10:35 a.m. The same time that the video finished. And if you hear on the video, I actually say in the video, I'm going to stop recording now and take some images from this exact location. It's exactly what I did. So unless I ran up a ladder and had a ladder handy to get the much higher location, and unless these waves were like 40 feet tall in the foreground, that comment is ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't see any comments on there other than my own at the moment, guys. Can we all go over? It's the boss 24611.
It really doesn't. I'm not really bothered. I've just wanted to point out that you said nobody had done a video. I'm pointing out that they did, and they botched it from top to bottom. And that's why Gem Panda won't touch it, because he knows that Gem Panda, none of these guys can touch this.
No,
there is no curve. Super chat. Thanks very much.
There is no curve yet, exactly.
A big shout out to Rennie. He's 3 times he's dropped $5 in the super chat and I haven't even said thank you. Oh, I think I did for the first one, but thank you anyway, Renee. Much obliged.
So yeah,
hang on. You haven't read his messages though.
Whose messages?
Renee. Chemtrails on a blue marble. Never seen them. That's true. What else? The Globe Earth Society doctrine. Humanity exploded out of a chimp's vagina after a big bang and spinning balls aimlessly lost in a vacuum of space. And then, if the Coriolis effect was a fact, traveling would be suspending on a balloon and waiting for the continent to appear. Wishing you a wonderful globe ocean. If Coriolis was a fact, that's the wrong way around, isn't it? Because if Coriolis was a fact, then the atmosphere would be spinning with the Earth. Or is it the other way around? I can't remember which way around they
No, that's
argue it now.
correct. So if Coriolis was a fact, you'd have 2 individual reference frames. This is exactly my argument. And then you'd send up a balloon, so it's travelling in a direction, in an individual reference frame, the atmosphere. And all you'd have to do is hang on that balloon and the continents would just drift towards you. And you just wait and then just descend and then you'd be somewhere else. Of course you don't.
Oh, right, I get it now. I can't remember what their official version is because it contradicts themselves. On the one hand, Coriolis exists, and then what's the other time when it contradicts and it doesn't exist?
When they talk about it, when you've got someone like your Aussie fella that you like arguing with, Ruhif, so he's saying that the atmosphere is being dragged along with the Earth. Well, that's in absolute contradiction to the Coriolis effect, which has 2 separate reference frames. So, you know, to have the Coriolis effect, you must have 2 separate reference frames.
Yeah. If you are following the orders of Lily, you are a cult member. Get help. Get deprogrammed. Well, get us some evidence, and I won't have to be giving out any orders because ultimately there is no curve, there is no bulge, yet you all believe it because you all hold each other's willies in this corner of the internet, don't you all? Let's be honest.
Ah,
146 quid we earned.
Fun little Discord with the chat. Love it.
146 quid we earned at the car boot sale. That was the count up.
That's not bad.
No. But it's weird though, because everything I thought would sell didn't sell, and everything I didn't think would sell did sell.
You could take it, honestly, the stuff that you take that you think you wouldn't throw away because you'd be embarrassed to put it in the rubbish. That's the things that people want to buy. It's really weird.
Books, CDs and DVDs didn't sell, right? We sold 1 DVD and it was Avatar. All the box sets from like Only Fools and Horses and Open All Hours or whatever, you know, name the box sets, right? Didn't sell. And I'm not going to give them away. I'd rather give them to a charity shop. But ultimately, they didn't sell.
Keep disliking it. 72 dislikes. Come on, get to 100. More interaction.
Dislikes.
Get the analytics up.
Yeah, man, awesome.
Yeah, we need to act like the majority of groups because we shouldn't be acting like we're the minority anymore. We should be acting like we're the majority because they don't have any evidence yet. They all believe it, and it's nonsense. It's embarrassing to think that society can breed humans that haven't worked it out that you need to prove stuff, otherwise it's not true. It's embarrassing to think that half of you lot simply push the narrative devoid of the evidence. It's embarrassing. I was going to go and wear my Flat Earth T-shirt and see, like while I'm selling, just to do a bit of a bit of what's the word, activism.
I've got my Flat Earth T-shirt on today.
I decided not to because it might work against me. I wasn't sure whether it would work.
Funnily enough, I was out last night with a couple of my friends, and during the day I'd met up with one of the guys. I actually brought him along with me to do a bit of work. And nice T-shirt, by the way, or nice shirt. And yeah, we were talking about it, about Flat Earth. I got talking about it, and he says, "Oh, you're not a Flat Earther as well?" I said, yeah. So I started explaining it to him, and you could tell he was as bored as shit with it, right? So I just sort of like gave up. And then I went out at night, and I bumped into another friend, and we were talking, and again, I said I was a Flat Earther, and he went, and he instantly said, "Well, I can disprove that immediately." I said, "Well, go on, then how are you going to disprove it?" He says, "Well, raindrops." I says, "What about raindrops?" He says, "Well, what shape are they?" I says, "I'm sure this is going to lead somewhere, isn't it?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "It's the round." I went, "Right." He says, "And that's due to gravity."
You know, we had that example on the panel. Josh War gave that example. He said, "Do you guys know that he was on a war example, somehow war proofs Flat Earth, and he was saying that without being able to have bullets made, perfect spheres by being dropped, you drop lead from a tower and it forms a perfect circle on the way down, and that's how they made their shot, you know, the thing that they're actually firing." So he concluded that proves the sphere. Pretty much the same argument.
Ruhif's best example that proves sphericity is He says if you get the moon, right, and you get 3 people in the same country to all observe the moon at the same time simultaneously, you'll all get 3 different angles of observation because you're all at different places, but you're all in close enough proximity for it to be like trigonometrical. You can calculate it. And he said, I said, yeah, but when you do the maths, it depends on the distance between the observers with regards to whether you put it as a curve or whether you put it as a flat line. Do you want to address Renee? Let's unite and help bombarding children's websites with flat Earth reality research. The joke is dead. His position is that if you get 3 observers and you do the trig, it can't possibly work on a flat Earth. I think that's what he's trying to say. I didn't quite. It was literally as I was going out this morning, but I think that's what his position is. And I've heard this argument before, but I've forgotten what the response was because I can't remember what was the outcome when he did it on a ball. I mean, I know that it's going to say that the moon must be trillions of miles away, but I can't remember what the retort was. Nath, do you remember what the position is when you use 3 observers doing the trig?
It's just a presuppositional argument. They just insert spherical trig. I've got my wife with me. I'm hoping she'll come here a second, hun, just so I can actually hear you on mic. I want to get your opinion on this comment. So this comment's come up a few times. It's even, a donated comment. Someone's paid to put this comment in the chat. Let's unite and help bombarding children's website with flat Earth reality research. The joke is dead. What's your opinion on that? So basically, this person in the chat is saying we should bombard children's websites, saying research flat Earth. What would be your opinion on that?
I don't see any problem with it myself.
I mean, my attitude has always been that I would much prefer that our daughter came to her own conclusions in that regard.
No, I don't. It kind of depends on the age, but if they're very young, and if they don't have any defenses yet against psychological warfare. So if you're going to confront them with this pretty heavy intellectual stuff at a very young age, then they're going to get into trouble for it in school, and you don't want that.
I'll tell you what, Matt,
I think it's better to confront people with flat Earth when they hit their early teens.
Just want to let my wife go, so just get your 2 pennyworth in, and then you can get back to whatever you were doing. I'm speaking to the mic.
Got to make their own way, haven't they? Like, make their
Well,
own.
you should definitely, if your kid starts to have questions about it, then you should try to be very honest about it. But to actively bombard children with flat Earth stuff at a very young age, preteen age,
well,
it's going to have a severe impact on them. And they don't have the defenses to deal with the religious fanatical world yet.
How is it any
They're
different?
They're gonna be shamed on by their teachers and maybe even their fellow students up to
What
some
about
level.
producing flat Earth children's books so you could have?
Hang on a sec. Hang on. What's the difference between doing that and the ISS International Space Station live thing?
2 wrongs don't make a right. So just because we have a division of government that bombards our children with propaganda doesn't mean that we should do the same. And when you say, why not have a flat Earth book? Well, I have the opinion, and I say this a lot, that the Earth is obviously and observably flat. So every story, every narrative, unless you inject a presupposition that we're on a sphere, is a flat Earth story. If you don't have it set in space, every story is a flat Earth story. So there's no need to sort of what we're doing. When I put flat Earth in air quotes and say that's what we're doing, this is flat Earth right now, and it's pretty intense. When people like Nummy are saying this is science or we're on the cutting edge of this stuff, that's, in my opinion, not for children. Now, don't get me wrong, my kid's mulling around while I'm having these discussions, but I hope I'm not forcing it upon her. I mean, it's going to rub off on her, but I'm not sitting her down and saying, research flat Earth, and I don't think I ever will.
I don't think it's any different to the government pushing propaganda down their necks in school.
But why would you want to be a propagandist? Why would you want to do the same? Two wrongs don't make a right. Just because we have propaganda.
No, what I'm saying is, it might not. I agree. Two wrongs may not make a right. However, if it's acceptable for the government, it can't be criticised on our behalf.
But you don't have to subject your children to that. You know, you enter into a contract when you enter your child into a school system, and therefore you're, contracting with them for them to give your child their education. But you don't have to enter into that contract. Lots of pause for thought.
I don't think it's any different to what they do already. I don't see any difference between the two positions. I don't see if it can't be criticised when the ballers do it themselves.
Yeah, it can. That's, well, okay. So, because the government takes part in organised murder through war, you think that that's acceptable, that we should take the same position because it's no different? I would totally disagree, obviously.
Yeah, me too.
So therefore, just because they have an arm that produces propaganda that supports their narrative, and I'm not going to claim not to have a narrative or not be biased. I am incredibly biased, extremist, if you like, because of how...
You're not an extremist.
Yeah, it's so extreme to the... That's why I get... Yesterday, I didn't bring it up at the time because we had Charles on the ropes, but you were saying, well, we don't accept R. Yeah, by definition, we do. And we are governed by R. It is a part of the society that we live in. So while we as individuals do not accept R, we as a society are forced to accept R. R is a standard. And Charles is being tricky when he says, well, you don't have to accept R, we can start from scratch. That's just a tricky way of saying, we've got no proof of R, even though it's the accepted standard. And the only way I can prove it to you is by setting out these fallacious examples, these logical fallacies that you can follow and use my presupposition of R to begin with. Spherical reference systems was what we've had so far. I'm sure more will follow if he rejoins. But ultimately speaking, my point is, before we drift off topic, that two wrongs don't make a right. Just because propaganda exists to promote the narrative of ballism, heliocentricity, doesn't mean that we should promote our arm of anti-propaganda or anti-establishment. Ism. Is that the right word?
Our counter narrative.
Yeah. Our counter narrative is extreme, even if it's true. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I agree. We should definitely, if a kid learns about space and the planets and all that stuff, and they have questions about it, then we should be there to answer it very carefully and prepare them for the confrontation, the realization that society may be lying to them, because that's going to be a very hard hit for them.
You might not even be necessary to do that, are we?
Their environment. That's what they need protection for.
But you can teach them how to do that themselves by teaching them. You can teach them that by teaching them. But you shouldn't just
ram it in their face when they're not ready for it.
You don't need to teach them anything in that regard if you teach them how to utilize critical thinking skills.
Yeah, but they also will gain the awareness, besides critical thought, of the deceptive nature of society, of the doctrine, basically. That is a very scary realization for a lot of people, for a lot of children.
For us, we've been indoctrinated and have then had an awakening. Whereas I think if children from the off were taught critical thought, they would never fall victim to that in the first place. They would recognise a deception.
Yeah, that is that, but there is also just the social system that they live in. And if they start to realize that everything is lying to them, that there's a general consensus of indoctrinated lies, and that there's going to be hostility towards them because they do not conform on that level, it's going to be very hard on them. So
okay,
I'm not saying that we should prevent them from discovering it. I'm just saying should be very careful with it.
Well,
It's
that's
just
a good
like-
way of putting it. Discovery. So, what is the discovery process? How do they get indoctrinated with this information that they're on a spinning ball?
Well, they get confronted with the scriptures. They get confronted with the explanations, and some of the kids will just accept it out of hand because they've already seen movies and stuff that kind of support that narrative,
The movies.
that doctrine,
So
and
I've got one so
cartoons
far.
and all that stuff. So they will not think about it. But some children will have the natural tendency to just question details.
But what else have we got? I'm just trying to establish the methodology. So we've had children get schooled into the global belief system. So we've had movies. Movies influence you through sci-fi narrative into the global system. What else have we got? Who's printing something?
It's on your side.
Who's printing
Oh, can you hear that?
something? Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's me.
obviously.
I didn't think it was that loud.
Just mute when you're not talking.
Well, normally I'm silent, but I just
Anyway.
I'm taking some pictures of old, scanning some old pictures that I want to share with you.
Oh,
Just
okay.
because I'm interested.
It is important stuff. I'll let you off.
Yeah, well, it's not really important. It's just like a piece of like my history.
We're trying to establish how the propaganda system indoctrinates our children, and you're Xeroxing.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a mixed bag, this show. I can tell it's going to be one of them. But I don't know. I want to, it'd be easier to isolate from the actual subliminal and liminal, if that's the right word, indoctrination, and movies and the overt training at school. Those things can be avoided. I'm not saying I don't want to play my kid movies. Obviously you do. But
I'm done now.
here we go. I'll round this out with an example that came up literally today. So my kid's playing with a unicorn, Mega Block unicorn. And I said to her, unicorns aren't real, they're just pretend, while we were playing with them, just in conversation. I'm not saying that I explicitly said those words. It was part of just chit-chat with my child who can't talk yet. And my wife said, oh, unicorns are real, they're real, as in play to the fantasy. And I'm like, well, no, but they're not. So why say they are? And the same applies when she's playing with the globe toy that Dearth sent her. Thanks, Dearth. It's one of those. You just say, yeah, the globe's not actually real, because it isn't. It's just a made-up concept. Here we go. My wife's piped up. Unicorns been mentioned. What was that, Paula?
Is it
Apparently, we
or
can't prove
is it-
unicorns aren't real. It's down to the person who claims they are real to prove them, hun. Have you got any proof or evidence of unicorns?
Well, there is a Bible reference of unicorns.
Oh, here we
apparently.
bloody go shooting. Oh, she's picked up on that, Arwin. Oh, I'm never going to
Hey,
be at the end of this
sorry.
now. Thanks, Arwin.
Yeah, it does. Hey, look, there's no more unicorns now. So, but there is a Bible reference that they, at least in Eden, I think, were.
Dinosaurs aren't real
existed.
either.
So maybe unicorns are still there in heaven.
No, it's all nonsense. Well, if unicorns are real, Dal needs a new example.
So, what do you think the likelihood is me of getting this same imagery today when I go along and have a look?
Not very high, if I'm honest.
Kind of agree.
I'd agree too.
I mean, the conditions are similar. The only difference being is that the tide times will be different. So whereas one was in the morning, this time it will be in the tea time. So that's the only difference. I mean, the tides will be roughly the same height. The temperature will be similar. So we'll see.
Yeah, let me share my screen. I think anybody in England will appreciate this. Arwin probably not, but might do. Anybody in America probably won't give a shit, if I'm honest. But this is a big piece of my childhood. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's some police car.
Yeah, this is taken in around about 1990-ish. There's
we
no
used to
date
call
on it,
those. We used to call those jam sandwiches.
so- jam sandwiches.
So
Yeah,
why
that's
would
what
I
we used to
not
call 'em.
appreciate this?
you know why?
Yeah,
Because of the jam in the middle.
Yeah, it's a white car. All police cars back then were a white car, normally a crappy Ford or a crappy Vauxhall.
Yeah.
And they had a red stripe down the middle of them and just looked like a jam sandwich, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is look at the Range Rovers in the background. Look at the size of the blue light on the roof. Absolutely massive. But my dad used to drive. He used to drive this one, and he used to drive one of these Range Rovers in the back. And I remember when I was younger, and he said to me, he said, "They're lovely, these cars, son." And I said, "Are they expensive, Dad?" And he said, "Yeah, they're well too expensive, son." He said, "I'd never be able to afford one of these." Because back then they were all petrol. So they were like 4.6 litre V6s and V8s. They do like 90 mile an hour. That was about it. And obviously with this big, massive whirlybird on the top of it, it probably wouldn't even do that. But they were just massive fuel guzzlers. But
The
back
Granada,
then he was
right?
loving them because
It's a Granada, or is it is it a Carlton or a Granada?
I think it's a Granada, that one. And then you've got a Cavalier, Mark II Cavalier. And then that one's a Senator. And then that one's another Cavalier, I think. And then you've got the Range Rover. And then on the picture below, you've got the big juggernaut that was the police horses. There's the same Granada. There's a tranny, Mark I Transit, or maybe Mark II, I think it might be, I'm not sure.
Had some crap cars back then, didn't they?
Yeah, but they were state of the art back then, though. They were like the bee's knees.
Yeah, they weren't.
Oh, they were. This was the police. This was the traffic division as well. You know, this wasn't just the average Joe like police station. This was the traffic division. Look at them. I mean, this is a Montego, and then there's the Astra in the background.
That reminds me.
Background.
Back in the day when they were using those Montegos, my dad had a white Montego, and my brother had just learnt to drive. He doesn't watch this show, so I don't care. Anyway, what he did was he went and got from a petrol station one of the forecourt service signs that have the paper towels in them, and they're bright blue, right? And so what he did is he put it in the sunroof and started pulling people over in this white Montego just because it had a forecourt service sign on the top.
Well, I remember one day when my dad was going to a hurry up job. There was a difference between an emergency and a hurry up job. And an emergency is like, it's like everybody goes, but a hurry up job is just get there when you can. But he was doing about 130 on the motorway in a Senator. And a bird hit the front grille and bounced up and hit the windscreen, and it stuck itself in the windscreen and smashed it. And when he took the car back and obviously reported it as a damage, he had to leave the bird in situ because nobody would believe that a bird caused that amount of damage to a car. And I look at 9/11 and I look at these planes in the buildings, and I know what damage a bird will cause it in the car, and that's just a little tiny bird. Well, imagine the plane like being the bird, and then the building being the car. It's going to cause damage, but it's not going to cause that. It's not going to be able to go through and peep the other side. But it's just looking back at these cars for me. This is like, well, I used to have to go here on a Saturday morning, like because of the way my mum and dad work their shifts. And it's just bizarre looking back on it now. It seems such a long time ago.
Oh yeah, by the way, they're not jelly sandwiches, they're ham sandwiches.
No, jelly. You may
No,
as well
ham.
call it Jello.
You know
Jello
why?
sandwich. Yeah,
'Cause
red
pigs
Jello
ride on
sandwich.
them.
Strawberry Jello sandwich.
No, it's ham sandwich.
Because they're pigs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, pigs, bacon sandwich. But so anyway, that was my nostalgia for the day. When we found these pictures in the loft, it was like, no way.
About an hour, completely unopposed. Do you realise that?
Yeah, I've got the back door open. It's because certain people are probably hungover from a night out last night or whatever.
You reckon?
And it just goes to show that the trolling is done by just one or two people. All the
Maybe.
disruption that you see is caused by one or two people. That's it.
Well, as I say, we've got about an hour left on this live stream, so if you would like to join the panel, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video. If you'd like to support this channel, as Rene has done multiple times, simply hit the super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But as I say, if you'd like to join the panel, there's nobody coming in to contest any of what Ranty or Anthony have said in the last hour about their observations of the Isle of Man and of, what's the other place, Ranty? I've forgotten the name of the place now.
Barrow and Furness.
Barrow and Furness, so yeah. be sure to join by hitting that link in the info box. If you do join the panel, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. If you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate.
No, I think they're like a bunch of goblins, and they're just keeping their distance, throwing their rotten tomatoes at a distance, and they don't want to come into the arena anymore.
Oh, I got a really nice
know
message
they
from Rennie
can't
that
win.
time. So thank you, Nathan, for your contribution to Operation Mass Globotomies. P.S. Stay strong and healthy as always. That's very kind of you, Rennie.
Yeah, and Alex Quent is a goblin, apparently.
Thanks for being here, Alex.
So M.
Link
Scott
working.
Veach
It
is
should be working.
constantly whining in chat. Why doesn't he actually come in?
You don't really believe he was the son of an astronaut, do you?
Chocolate saying, yeah, the link should be working. It certainly seems to be there. Yeah.
I suppose it depends on what you mean when you say astronaut.
Yeah, he was lied to as a child, basically.
Yeah.
He was
That he believes it. I probably think he.
No, he
believes
doesn't
it.
believe it. He knows. That's why he's here. He's here to influence the tide, right? And he's here, and we just laugh at him because Daddy lied to you at M. Scott Beach.
Come on, you bunch of troll wankers, get in here, cowards, freaking cowards,
It's okay.
damn useless idiot.
Don't come in unless you're going to bring some evidence of curve, actual location.
It's
or
got
gravity.
into Arwen.
I think Arwen's up for
I've
a
been
debate.
countering their stupid, retarded comments all morning. They're constantly doing the same crap all over again. Oh, you're being fooled. Oh, Riley and Ranty and Nathan, they're lying. They're hiding the real truth. All this bullshit. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of their obfuscation spam. Why don't you actually get in here and prove your stupid beliefs, you morons? I'm so sick of you.
Let's not forget that this is not a circle jerk. This is not an echo chamber. The link's there for anybody with a microphone that can join. Just bring some evidence with you, though. M. Scott Veach says, Arwin, be a man and debate me. The door's there.
Get in
Scott
here,
Veach.
then. Get in, you coward.
He's here most days for people like you, M. Scott Veach. Why is it that you're calling him when you're able to join and he's here waiting for you?
Oh, Renee has got quite a...
Deep pockets today, Rennie.
Yeah.
Done it a couple of times. As a full-time globe-oceanist, I love bombarding children's websites with flat Earth reality research. Do you have a problem with the truth? I'm not against that, if I'm honest. I don't see any problem with it.
Maybe it's just the terminology he's using. When you say bombarding, children's lives shouldn't be concerned with the shape of the Earth. That's my honest view.
Yeah, M. Scott Veach, you don't bring any value to any show. And yet you resort to spamming your stupid nonsense in chat. Why don't you actually get in here, you coward?
M. Scott Veach, you're being poked. You do realise this, don't you? Oh, and by the way, I can't remember who it was, but somebody suggested that I was using troll accounts to manipulate the chat. Do you think I've really got time to start typing away randomly in the background? I might type the odd message out here and there. I might even get involved in a debate with one or two, but
if you
certainly not manipulating the text.
Trust me, if you were tapping, we'd hear it.
Yeah.
anytime that it's like, that's Anthony.
Did you speak to Ranty about him going on TFR? I don't think you were around, Anthony, or I think Arwen was around.
What was the question? Did I what?
Did you speak to him? Because you and I were both not around when Ranty was talking about his most recent evidence on TFR. I just didn't.
I went on TFR with him, but he went on. Oh no, I went on Iron Realm with him, but he did TFR without assistance.
That's cool though, isn't it? Going on TFR is always cool. I got really excited last time. Maybe it's not a big deal to anybody else, but to me it's like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
I held the fort down for a good hour and a half, so it was good.
But you got to go on at just the right. The timing was epic. You know, you just caught that foot observation of Barrow Inverness, and then now you're on TFR telling the masses about it. I just think that's so cool.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it'll just get better and better as the weather gets better.
I'm
There's going to be
hoping.
more evidence is popping up left, right. Hopefully, there's going to be plenty from other people. It's not just me, Ranty, and Sandra. I think other people should. I'm hoping that other people will go out and do stuff like Mark Doxey, for example. He's going out and doing stuff too. He's doing his own little work now on his Isle of Man thing. And, I gotta go.
Is it cinnamon control? It's definitely not flat. I've measured it round with my own experiment repeatedly.
Ooh.
Okay,
Love to hear about
you'd
it.
like to come in and show us.
Brilliant. Love an experiment. Sounds very scientific. I'll be repeating it again and again. Excellent. That's what the scientific method requires, systematic experimentation. Marvellous. Tell us all about
I
it.
think
Links
he's
in the info box.
referencing just his chant. Just chants, it's a globe, it's a globe.
Hey, Nummy.
Hello, hello.
He
Hello.
believes he's doing science and it must be a ball. He knows he is right because everybody says it's a ball.
And if your ears were burning yesterday, Nummy, I was chatting with John yesterday and both of us were like, good catch with Charles. Straight into, that's not science. Also, you summarised it really nicely. You're like, does a whole load of presuppositional arguments qualify as proof to you, Charles? Like,
Oh, right. Yeah. I just wasn't quite I didn't quite catch what you said there at first, but yeah. That was funny. Charles misrepresenting his observational tests as experiments.
Right on.
Good morning, Dummy.
Morning.
Did you sleep in?
Yeah,
What time is it for you?
it's 10.
What's the weather doing today? We got clear blue skies. Not particularly warm though.
Yeah, it looks like we got clear blue skies here as well.
It is a question for you. When the tide's going out, how is it that they get waves that come in as well as the tide going out?
Hello,
Mark.
gentlemen.
Hey, Mark.
Hello.
Hola.
The show is a bit flat today, pardon the pun.
Yeah. I think it's because one or two people, the main protagonist trolls, are not around. So shout out to Tim Osman. Obviously he's in
Where's
bed.
Ruhith these days?
Pardon?
Where's Ruhith these days?
It's a bit late for him because he's in Australia. He's like
Yes, of course, yeah.
it's midnight for him now, so he's not able to get on as easy.
That wasn't deliberately done by Nathan then, was it?
No, it's more Nathan did that not to benefit Ruhith. It was more to benefit the American public or the American people.
Listeners,
It was the closest
Suppose
I
you could
thought.
say that you blocked Ruhith for Nummy.
Yeah, it's the closest time I thought would be appropriate because it means at 2 p.m. UK time is it 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, so
Yeah.
AM, sorry, yeah, 8 a.m. Central and 9 a.m. Eastern. So therefore, there's a reasonable chance that we'll catch a few people in the States, but it's also 11 p.m. Central Australian time.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's like a reasonable time to catch people at each end of the sun rising and falling across the plain.
Yeah, sounds good.
I don't know how many Aussies we get as a consequence and how many Americans we get as a consequence. Currently, believe it or not, my biggest audience is actually in Australia on this channel.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're keeping them awake at night. Huh?
The majority of the viewers are in Australia.
Yeah. In terms,
Wow.
it's a very small percentage between. Sometimes it's sometimes it's American, sometimes it's Australian. It flicks between the two. I'll just double check that is the case right now. But yeah, at the moment I think it's Australia.
I would have thought it was the UK because there's so many guests that come from the UK.
Nope.
And you guys know people there, and
2
No, it's
o'clock is
currently
more
Australia.
convenient to us here in the UK.
Yeah,
there's a lot of late night flat earthers though.
Australia,
Mark.
United States, Canada, United Kingdom, in that order.
Mark, did you see the pictures that I was sharing about 15 minutes ago?
No, I didn't. No,
Oh, I'll have to. Can I do it again, Nathan?
please
Yeah, of
do. Go
course.
on.
It was
Go
not. It's not really flat Earth related. Let me just dig out what I've done with them. Where did they go? There they are.
What, the police cars, you mean?
Pardon?
The police cars.
I didn't
You were
know.
showing
Yeah,
police
police
weren't
cars.
you?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
the
police cars. Yeah, did you see this?
I did, yeah. We used to
Ham
call them
sandwiches.
jam butty cars, not
Yeah,
jam
jam-
sandwiches.
Jam
Yeah.
what? What
We
did
had
you call them?
sandwiches south of Stoke-on-Trent. North of Stoke-on-Trent is butties.
Oh, you called them jam butties?
Yeah,
Jam butties.
that's what they are.
Yeah, jam sandwiches, jam butties.
Yeah, they used to be jam butties, didn't they?
Jam butties.
Yeah, you were saying about how bad cars were in those days. Nobody makes a bad car these days, do they?
Yeah.
You can get a really good 10-year-old car that's going to still last you another 5, 10 years. Whereas
plenty-
when I
plenty
first
of
started
lemons
driving,
still,
a 10-year-old
trust me.
car was totally shot.
There's plenty of crap cars these days, trust me.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Go on, give me
They were
one.
easier to fix back then.
Fiesta,
weren't
Ford
Oh, there
Fiesta.
was, yeah, you could change a clutch at the side of the road in those days.
Anybody who owns a Ford Fiesta and has an automatic gearbox that's bought one in the last 2 years will know of horrendous nightmares.
Okay.
There you go. Ford Focus,
Okay.
also. Just a crap car.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
They're not.
Garbage.
You look at a 10-year-old Focus compared
10-year-old
to a
Focus.
10-year-old Golf.
Yeah, but they were
and
good
the
10 years
bodywork
ago. Yeah, you
on
maybe
the Focus
10-year-old
is doing a lot
Focus.
better than the Golf.
No, I'll agree. 10 years ago, the Focus was quite a good car. Modern Focus, garbage.
All right, okay. Well, I'm not
Same
in
with the
your league.
Fiesta.
I'm not buying new Focuses.
10 years ago, the
4.5.
Fiesta was like car of the year, and they sold absolutely shed loads to private buyers, people actually spending their own money on them. Fiesta's sold by the bucket load. Now, it's just an absolute shitbox with an exploding double clutch system that doesn't work properly. Just shit.
Okay.
Mind you, I have to say, if you've seen Anthony's car, he's got 2 cars, but have you seen this car that he uses to get around in?
Go on.
Well, I went for a drive with him and his missus. We were going up to St. Bees, and the windscreen got really dirty, and he's having to lean out of the window with some water and try and spray the water on the windscreen because his water sprayer wasn't working. Then it was so hot inside the car, I tried to wipe the window down, and the thing broke off in my hand, and I couldn't get any air in the car.
And was this a new
Then
Focus?
the air
was it?
conditioning wasn't working. And then about a week
It's
later,
a French
his
car. It's shit.
about a week later, he phones me up and he says, what was it that went wrong with your car? Hang on. What happened at the roadside? Anthony,
What was the question?
you had a breakdown with your car, and I said, look, why don't you just get rid of that car? It's a death trap. And you went, no, I'm going to replace something on it.
Yeah, I've
Is it
had not to
Russia?
spend on it at all in like 3 years, and then all of a sudden in 1 month I had like 3 or 4 big jobs. It was horrendous. I had a snap suspension spring, I had a clutch failure, and I had 2 bottom ball joints that needed replacing, all in like 1 month. And there was a 4th thing.
Yeah, but what about the fact that your water doesn't work on your windscreen wipers?
Yeah, the pipe split in the front. The pipe split and the water doesn't squeeze through it anymore.
So have you not fixed it yet?
No, it's only a little elbow. I'll find a piece of plastic that I can get in. I'm just not buying. I'm not paying for one from Peugeot. I'll just go a scrapper and find one.
Yeah, but come on, you hanging out of the window trying to spray water on
Yeah.
the to try and wet the window was hilarious and
Imagine
dangerous.
Imagine if Nikon made a car. Call it the P900 Nikon car. French cars are quite soft. The Japanese cars are the best.
Which spaceships are the best?
Spaceships.
If you ask Issa will say America, baby.
This copy of Windows. Sure.
Skylab.
Elon Musk's or NASA's?
Oh, you mean SpaceX over NASA? Who cares?
The Chinese are the best.
The thing that's wrong with my normal car is my day-to-day runner is it's at that age now where things are going to start going wrong with it. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's cost us nothing for such a long time. I don't mind paying for a clutch every now and again because it's economical, it's comfortable, it's still got to it. It's just the electrics are crap in it because they're French.
I'm going to go and turn the turbo up on my wife's car in the next month now that winter's over. Can't wait.
Turn the turbo off?
Up. So in winter, it's a bit of a handful, the car. So we have it detuned. So it's not
really. So
it's not lethal. And then when the winter's definitely passed, which is about now, we just take it back to the tuner and just put the tuned software on it and turn it back up again. And then then it's terrifying again, but not lethal.
And what car is that?
It's just a little TT.
Right. German cars are overrated and overpriced.
German cars? Don't know, man.
German cars.
I think it costs us a small fortune to keep it running, but we do both drive it pretty hard. Good fun though. I like driving.
What's even more weird though is the Range Rover cost me even less to run. Never breaks down. I must have a lucky one.
You're like the only person on Earth.
Pardon?
Probably the only guy on Earth.
I know I must be lucky with mine. It's never let me. The only thing that I've ever had to put on it was a wiper arm because the spring in it got like seized and then it snapped. So I had to put a new wiper arm on the rear wiper arm, and that was it. Other than that, it's just been brakes every now and again, tires, exhaust once. That's it.
There's got to be something you can say to poke the ballers to come in and get us back on flat Earth. There's got to be.
They don't want to come. They've got nothing. Would you come in for a hide into nothing?
Outnumbered.
I wouldn't come in. I would.
Perspective and how your eyeballs work. You would understand vanishing point.
Tape recorder, Debbie.
I don't get that, Debbie Duran. What's going on with that?
That's tape recorder, Debbie.
Yeah, I know, but I don't. It's the same thing on that particular account. I don't understand why that particular account does it.
Yeah, can we have some real opposition? That'd be nice.
Nathan, you said that Australia is.
Woken up.
Yeah. Morning, Tim.
Oh, I believe Iron Realm Media went to Pontchartrain yesterday.
Yeah, he drove across live. I tuned in for that. I tuned in while he drove across.
I think they're putting together some observations as well whilst they're there. There's a couple of guys with a P900, so we'll see how that compares with Soundly, I think.
Cool.
Well, the Soundies was a pathetic explanation, wasn't it?
It'll be interesting to see if they can even get close to the amount of curvature that Soundly shows.
It's a tiny ball, if that's the way it really is.
Yeah, that was my first ever comment on his channel. So we live on a basketball then, do we?
The radius looks like the radius of the Earth will be about 2 miles.
Yeah.
To follow that curvature. Was it, Ranty, you did a really good stuff on the x-axis, z-axis of the power windmills. I thought it was very good. That was a few weeks ago. Remember that?
Yes. Oh, yes, yeah. But Nathan was the one that first did I think that was one of your first things that you did, Nathan, on your channel.
What was that?
Comparing the x-axis to the z-axis on the wind turbines.
Really?
And then that's what you told me. And then you said when I had the observations from the two locations.
Oh, right. Yes, absolutely. Me and Fake Spaceman in Space, it was like hangout number 2. Second hangout or third hangout I'd ever done. It's got to be 3 years ago. Getting on for 3 years ago now. Maybe a bit less because I started doing hangouts.
It was more recent than that.
Say again?
It was more recent than that. Ranty did
yeah. What Ranty had so Ranty was showing me some of these wind turbines, and I said what you need, which would be really handy, is to show the side elevation of these wind turbines and a front-on elevation. And then I went to a video that I made about 2.5, maybe 3 years ago with Fake Spaceman in Space, and what he and I had got on screen for the audience was a CAD program showing, I can't remember what, I think it was houses, going into the distance and showing how it goes or is perceived to be going over a curve. But then when you look at it inside profile, obviously it's all flat as a pancake. It's just perspective. And Ranty had that, so we could actually line up the two and say, look, this may seem like it's going over a curve, but when you actually see them side elevation, they're not actually that far apart. Yes, they're going further into the distance, but not miles and miles and miles like you'd perceive curvature to be. They're right next to each other. But it looks like they're going over a curve. Well, that's just perspective.
Yeah, the z-axis has to match the x-axis. And none of the ballers can do that because there's no curve there.
Right, that's why all we ever hear is how much obstruction, how much obstruction. It's like, show us curvature. Why are we talking about obstruction? Who cares about obstruction? There's other explanations for obstruction. Hundreds. So let's just see some curve. Measure it. Show us that. Nah, joking. But we can calculate it. Well, show us proof of R. And, well, no, we have to presuppose R. And then we give you R. Oh, right, okay.
You love that word, don't you? Presuppose.
That's what it is. Hey.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they've got, though. Lots and lots and lots of presupposition.
And trolls.
And trolls, yeah.
Well, there is a lot of explanations for the obstruction that we see at the horizon, and I think the last couple of videos that I've put out show that perfectly. What's actually causing the blockage is that we're mistaking the horizon and the waves at the horizon for being the real waves and the real, the real sea, the real ocean, and it's not. It's a mirror image of the waves in the air, and that's causing the blockage.
Yeah, your last two videos, I'll have to put a link in the info box to those with the, I don't know if it's I can't call it a speedboat, but you know what I'm talking about, coming out of the horizon.
Yeah, and you actually see the apparent waves on the horizon morphing into, and disappearing and morphing again. I mean, they're literally being created out of nothing, and the reflections, and then they disappear, and then you realise that it's just the atmosphere that you're looking at. You're not actually looking at the horizon. And when the lower down you go, you're just looking through the air, and you think it's the horizon. It's not. Boats going over the horizon, that's not the case. It's just the atmosphere is sort of like mimicking the sea underneath. So you think you're looking at the ocean. You're not. You're looking at the air. The same as what we did with the observation that I looked from Barrow, when you see the top of the buildings repeating on themselves.
You bring that up? Can you show us?
Okay. Let me find the image. It's not the one. Just bear with me. So on this image here, for instance, we know that this is the building on the bottom, and those two windows are part of the building. The two windows above it aren't really part of the building. They're nothing to do with this building. They don't exist. This is a mirror image of what's underneath, right? So when we look at the horizon and we look at the water on the water, all that's happening is the air is mimicking and reflecting the water underneath, creating another layer of apparent water at the horizon. But that isn't the real water. It's a reflection of the water underneath, so it isn't the real horizon. The real horizon is much lower. And I've been seeing that in the... let's get some of those images up, actually. Look here. So, yeah, so this was the boat on the horizon. So all this that looks like waves, which is here, and I've done a video on it, so it's very evident, and you see this. You think these are waves. These aren't waves. This is atmosphere, this part. Atmosphere. The real horizon is around where my cursor is now. And all this is just to reflect, this is just air, and this is just reflecting the water underneath it. And you see it come and go and disappear, and it's fascinating to watch it. You can see how good the camera was. I mean, you can see the gentleman, he's on the side of the boat here, he's leaning over, and it's a really small boat. You can tell it's a small boat, but it's quite nippy. Let's see if I can, on some of these stills, we might see it. Well, you can tell that's not a wave for a start. It looks like a wave, and it genuinely isn't. How else would you explain it? Maybe if you look at the boat, for instance, what's happening is these waves apparently got. This boat is moored, so it's not actually moving, which is really good. And the tide is moving from left to right. So all this apparent waves are going across this boat. But when they come across the boat, it doesn't distort the boat; it just blurs it out. So they lose the appearance of being water.
Hey, Mike.
How's it going?
I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, but
Good, thanks.
It's what it's what you actually. Here we go. Right, you can tell that's just air that's reflecting the water underneath. It's not the real horizon. And I can show you on the video if you want. Perhaps.
Yeah, stick it on.
I've got 2 videos, so which one should?
Okay, you get into that one.
Ranty, you're muted.
All right, so I was muted, was I? Right, okay. So this is the video, and I'll play it, and just look at these waves. You see them disappearing. It's just air. But it's not really waves. Are you guys following this?
Absolutely,
yeah. We're all watching along. It's a great capture.
What
I'm sure I left a comment on both the videos.
What I find frustrating is when somebody new that said to you, well, what about ships over the horizon? And that's all that they know. Now, we've looked at this, analysed it, and seen the anomalies and come up with an explanation for it. But for somebody who's totally new to the idea of flat Earth, how do you get them to investigate it?
They've got to be ready for it, haven't they?
Yes, they do, but we need an answer, don't we? What about ships over the horizon? Is there one question that we can ask them just to stop them in their tracks and think, well, okay, that's worth investigating?
Well, they say that we're so small on this Earth and it's so big that you can't see left to right curvature. So on that basis, no boat's going over the horizon. You can't have it both ways. But Lewis seems to think that you can.
Well, that's for somebody who's already aware of the debate. That sort of
doesn't make any sense because there's still photos out there of over 240 miles away. You should definitely there at that type of distance with that kind of length.
Well, you and I don't need convincing of that. I just want somebody.
Absolutely, you should.
Yeah, we don't need convincing of that, but I want to stop somebody in their tracks and think, well, okay, there may be an alternative explanation. Just with one quick question to them.
Maybe you show them some evidence that conflicts with that, right? Like some very low height, like some of these shots that show 30 miles away from a 1.5 feet off the ground or something like that. And then you say, okay, so we have these 2 pieces of evidence that aren't congruent with each other. So how do we resolve this problem? And then you can start
that's
to
what I'm looking for. Yeah, yeah,
Am I still sharing?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
okay. So this is, I've lowered the elevation now. I've gone to about 15 foot here above the water. And that is clearly, that wave or apparent wave is clearly a mirror of what's underneath. It's reflecting us.
It's not attached to the main body of water.
No. And it'll disappear and it'll come back. And if you look here, the boat itself is mirroring in it. You could put a line through the middle of that, right? And it's mirroring itself underneath, right? Now, I think what's happening is from a higher elevation, as you look down, it mirrors the ocean. And the lower you get down, it mirrors the air above. So whatever's directly above it. So as you decrease your height, as you're looking to the horizon, it will reflect things like the boat, and you don't see so much of this, but it's probably more air that it's, the sky that it's reflecting. If I go back to the other, back here, you can see there's a lot of reflection of the water underneath, especially in this location here. It's very prominent here.
Even those power turbines look elongated and distorted, don't they? They're a lot taller than they would be.
But what I'm wondering now with this claim is the slant basically upward? Is there like literally a bulge because of this effect going upward, or is everything back there being displaced downward? Which one is it?
This is quite a good one because I'm zoomed at full. I'm actually using it into the digital zoom here, and you can actually see that clearly that it's just air that it's going through. It's not the waves. It is obviously on water, but what we think is the horizon isn't the horizon, it's air. And you can see it smashing through the air. It's not really waves. In fact, you can see the wake of the boat. You can see the water that it's throwing up underneath the air. It's so clear what we're looking at. And it goes from behind that dirty air and it pushes through into the clear air. And never once does it go up or down. It just stays exactly where it is the entire way. And there's just the air around it that's making it look like it's the horizon, and it's not.
Now, in contrast, it's probably... Let me find the relevant part. There we go.
This is a good part. Just where you can clearly see that this is apparently the waves, and then it brushes through it. It's air that it's going through.
But maybe those are part of the waves that are still somewhat visible going right behind it.
No, you can actually see it. There you go. It's just making air. I mean, let me just go back a fraction and watch. Just watch to the side of this boat. You'll see, like this there, that just appears and disappears. It's air.
No, but I'm seeing it going behind it as well.
No, you see it break through the air, and then it looks like it's behind it.
No, there's part of a wave that it is splashing up against, but there's also like a blotch of ocean that seems to just be moving behind it simultaneously.
Yes, that's not ocean, that's air.
Apparent ocean. However it may work, but I'm still wondering, is the ocean being displaced up through an optical effect, through diffraction, or is everything behind there being displaced downward?
So Mercury Messenger 7 asks, Sleeping Warrior, how do weathermen predict the weather? Let's hear your flatty explanation. In my experience, they can't predict the weather. They're always inaccurate, in my experience.
I think it's both.
They can predict rain, but they can't predict sunshine, and they can't predict snow, in my experience. So I wouldn't say that they can predict the weather.
Are you breathing down your mic,
It kind of does look like
it's Arwen.
Part of the ocean is being slightly angled upwards in relation to the surface right before that. So it could be that, yeah, there's suddenly like an apparent slant upwards, and then behind that, everything is going in the opposite direction.
I think it's both. It depends on your height, that there's going to be radial bands of oppositely oriented optical slant depending on your viewer height. Very strange.
You guys want to see curvature, right?
Definitely.
Sure, man.
Well, when you look at the Soundly's footage, it's too much curvature. I heard that earlier, and I was just a little confused.
What's confusing about it? It's 18 miles, and Ranty's observation is the same distance. You would expect them to be similar because we know the effects of refraction are negligible. So I'm not sure why you're confused.
Right, but you guys want to see curvature. There was curvature.
No, we see optical effects that we would call obscurity, like mirage, distortion, diffraction, refraction. We see a whole host of things in Soundly's work, and you claim that that's curve. Really? Is that the intellectually honest position?
No, it's just funny because it's you want to see some curve, but then you get shown curve, and it's too much.
No, a consistent. We need consistency.
Do you not understand the problem there? That if that curve was to continue on that angle, that you wouldn't end up with the right size of sphere.
Yeah, for a curvature to be there, it has to be consistent. And if you have wildly varying observations,
are you guys just
contrast in the extremity, then unless you want to optically make that work somehow, which you haven't managed to do so, then you really have no physical curvature.
Are you guys just kind of eyeballing it, like, oh, that looks like a little bit too much curve, so it has to be optical, or do you actually have measurements behind it?
No, we have wildly contrasting observations. Wildly contrasting.
And we can also tell by
not slightly, wildly.
We can also tell.
So you have another picture of a bridge, kind of the same height, looking out the same distance.
No, you don't need it to be a bridge. You just need any type of observation with the same consistent distance
that's how you
or
would
further.
test it, right?
Are you trolling
test it, right?
Are you really arguing that Soundly shows the curve of the Earth?
Oh, of course he does.
So you're trolling.
So why
just because I say stuff that you guys don't like doesn't mean I'm trolling.
No, but I don't know how anybody
like
can
it plenty.
look
It's
at that
just
and think that it's
nonsense.
curvature.
Because he's working under a presupposition. That's basically the problem. So even though you're telling him that there's other effects,
kind of disrespectful.
There's other.
No, it's not disrespectful. I think you're a moron.
Well, hold on. He's working under a presupposition.
Well, I think you're a liar, but I came on here to have a conversation, not just throw insults.
Right, Mike. Hold on, Anthony. Do you understand that you're working under the presupposition that you're going to see curvature, and you're telling us that it is curvature, and you're ignoring us saying it could be multiple other effects, and it's not replicated in other observations? You're simply ignoring it.
Not to mention that we've shown that there was fraud.
I'm saying, to me, I'm justified in my beliefs.
Really?
For myself.
Well, that is obvious that you're justified in your belief.
I have enough justifications for my belief.
Yeah.
Sound like
that's good for you.
Yeah. Rumpus is soundly too.
Yeah, actually, I'm planning on doing a. I want to come on.
I just want to round this out. So
maybe I'll do it next week because I found like another much simpler proof that Soundly's video that Soundly is a fraud. Actually, I'm working on something that I want to.
To be honest, I don't even think we need to address Soundly. If this guy thinks he's seeing the curve of the Earth of Soundly, I'd rather just let him think it and just leave him to it.
I think it'd be cool for you guys to go out and find another bridge about the same distance and go to the same height that he did and see what it looks like.
But people have done that. People have done that with Pontchartrain. People have done that.
There isn't another bridge of that length.
But people have done it with the same bridge and shown it
Anywhere?
looking flat as a pancake, other than the little hump that they have that lets boats go underneath it.
Yeah, Soundly's the only person who's ever taken photographs that look anything like that.
Right. I've seen plenty of pictures of that bridge looking flat.
Weekend, I believe.
Have you guys tried?
Sorry,
yeah, it's been done this weekend.
You've done it again. Sorry, hold on. Mike, hold on. Mike, just acknowledge what we've just said to you. You've said, are you guys going to go out and get some photographs of a similar bridge? And I'm telling you, the bridge Soundly has photographs of has multiple photographs of it looking nothing like he shows.
and it's been
with the same zoom and the same things that.
Who cares? So you're saying that this is proof of curvature, and now you're saying we must replicate it identically to get the same effect
if you go
of
to
curvature.
that same spot and you take a picture with your camera phone and you don't zoom in, you're obviously not going to get the same.
What do you mean,
image,
obviously?
right?
What do you mean, obviously?
If you don't zoom in with your camera phone, you're just going to get.
It's curved, right? If it's curved, right? Doesn't matter what I do with my camera, unless you're trying to trick people like you into thinking it's curved, which is what Soundly does.
So you think you get the same picture by taking it with no zoom?
I've just told you there are multiple pictures of that exact same stretch of road, and they don't look like Soundly presents.
Yeah, the curve is not physical in there. It's an optical effect.
Right.
I'm not a professional on optics, so I can't speak for that.
You don't need to be. You seem to... I've said it twice. I'll say it a third time. There are multiple pictures of that bridge looking nothing like Soundly's presentation of it. Don't need to be an expert in anything to know that to be the case.
Hasn't he gone back and live streamed multiple times and done this observation multiple times?
So is he
He
your
actually
God?
has a live stream going.
Is
he
he
had a
your
live stream
God?
going all night last
Is he
night.
your saviour? Is he like your Jesus? How many
No,
times?
I'm
This
not-
is now the
I'm not
fourth time. People independent of your saviour, Soundly, have taken pictures of that bridge, and it is not looking curvy.
I knew the Earth was a sphere before I even knew about.
So
flat
you're
Earth.
literally going to ignore what I've just stated to you?
No, because I don't need to respond to that.
Yeah, you do. You've come here and said Soundly. And then when I say, well, what about all these people that take it and it looks nothing like Soundly? You've said, but Soundly. Soundly takes a live stream. Is Soundly your God? Is Soundly your boyfriend? What relationship do you have with Soundly?
Same relationship I have with you.
No, you seem to be affiliated with him and only willing to take his evidence.
No, I've
You've
never
just
met
told me
Soundly,
you're not
and
willing to
he doesn't even
respond
know-
to me pointing out that other people have made the same observation, it looks nothing like his, and you've told me literally, I'm not willing to respond to that. That's your response to it. And then your backup was to tell me that he'd live streamed it. Again, going back to the same individual evidence.
Because you guys are somehow saying it's fake.
No, we're saying that there are multiple
Cherry
other
picked.
explanations.
It's cherry picked on a specific.
Not only are there other explanations
it
for the
fake.
phenomena that
Hold on,
he
my
demonstrates,
girlfriend. Hold on,
there
hold on.
are multiple observations of the same bridge from other people, and it looks nothing the same. I've said it 4 times.
It's fake.
I don't think
It's
it's
not.
fake.
It's not faked. It's just cherry
It's
picked.
a real observation.
You know what? I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna prove to you guys that it is fake. But I need a few days to just prepare it.
I'm
but
happy to call it fake.
I really want to put this to bed. Like,
I think we're going to revisit this.
Sorry, I had to go away
I
for a
don't
second.
think it's faked. It's just cherry picked
I'm
in
telling
specific conditions.
faked. It's faked. I can prove it.
It's
Nummy.
not-
Okay. Well, good luck.
Nummy, you can
it's-
go
I
to the
already-
live stream.
I already did prove it, but I'll prove it
Yes.
again in a simpler
Go to one of
way.
the other photos, Mike.
He live streamed it all last night.
Go to a
and all day
non-Soundly
yesterday.
picture,
Let me,
Mike.
for the record, distance
Mike, there
myself
are
from
people
the
outside of
bakery.
Soundly,
Plenty.
okay? Soundly's
Do you
not the only
remember
person
power lines?
photographing
Those
this.
were taken by different people too.
Yeah,
And those
and
show curve as well.
Yeah, and they're flat as a pancake, mate.
flat. Yeah, so you can go outside the boundaries of Soundly or Messiah, okay?
I just did.
No, you didn't. You
didn't.
told us to go to a Soundly live stream.
No, I just said about the power lines. People have taken pictures of those power lines. Different people, not just Soundly.
They have not gotten that result.
Of course they did.
Show us.
Right.
No, I've seen other
What's
pictures
that?
of these power. I've looked at so many pictures of those power lines just from research that I did last summer, and I've never seen anything like that.
Have you got an example of these power lines that we can analyze now?
Well, yes, actually, yes. Let me screen share, please.
Yeah.
This idiot is making me annoyed because Soundly, as far as Flat Earth's concerned, is long since dead. Do you recognize this particular video by Soundly?
I can't see anything.
You'd have to press the thumbnail in the Hangout.
Yeah, I see it.
Can you see how they seem to curve off and then they look back on themselves? Do you
They
think
look
that looks
back
like
at
that in real
themselves?
world?
They seem to go up in the air and then come back down again.
Hang on, let me ask you questions. Do you think that they do that in real world? They look back on themselves, yes or no?
It's a photograph, so of course it happened in the real world.
It's a video.
No, do you think they're built like that?
All right. So do you think that that's what happens in the real world?
And these shoes, it's actually the shoes. They got wet.
You're showing me a video of the real world, and you're asking me if it happens in the real world?
No, we're asking you if it's built like that.
Do you think that this is
built like that?
Of course, but not individual. They're not all built differently and like that. But over miles of observation, you're going to get some weird effects.
Weird effects,
like an optical slant,
right?
A non-physical curve.
What is that?
Given that you've just said that phrase,
optics.
Given that you've just said the phrase over many miles, that we're going to get some optical effects. This is a flat road on the top of a reservoir, and look at what happens when you change your elevation. You see that it's flattening off and it's becoming normal. But when he reduces his angle back down to the level that Soundly's at, which was basically like street level, he gets the same effect that Soundly gets, and the road is clearly straight. There's a little hump in the middle, but it's straight, so it's flat as a pancake. Watch. And I'll pause it at the point where it does it. There we go. Now, what do you see there? Hello?
I see the heat from the road causing
What do you see here? What's the top of the barrier doing? Is the top of the barrier doing the same as what Soundly's got there? Or is the top of the barrier doing something different? Do we need to play it again?
a tiny little bit on the left side, but why doesn't it do that on the right side as well?
This guy.
There you go.
Because
now
it's
doing it on both sides.
Oh, there you go.
How about there? Oh.
Now look at where the horizon is relative to the curve.
And how many miles does this go over?
That's about 800 yards.
Oh, okay. So it's not the same.
Well, it's exactly
the same effect.
Same
look at the horizon. Look at how the pylons appear to lip over
that's
it.
That's also over cement, and it's not the same distance.
But it's the same optical effect. It's just another scenario where it's a lot hotter.
Come on, Arwin, go.
Hold on, let's just hear uninterrupted what Mike's response to this is.
Guys,
I just came in to have a conversation. I don't want to.
Well, you're preaching nonsense, and it's rubbish. So
I'm not preaching anything. I'm just talking to you guys.
Not really. What's your response? I've just shown you an optical effect that replicates Soundly's work exactly.
I don't think this replicates it.
Soundly showing curvature.
No problem. He doesn't think it replicates it. So if you can just spin back to the part where we have the rails, which absolutely do not curve around the Earth in 800 yards or however length of this bridge is. There we go. Pause it there. Perfect. Now if you can flick between this and Soundly, and then with your mouse go around the part of the black. Here we go. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That.
But look, but not just the lippy back on itself bit. Look at the low horizon relative to what you think is the curve. We see the exact same thing here. Low horizon, Armco barrier dips behind back on itself, and you think that you're looking at the curvature of the Earth in Soundly's work. And I've just demonstrated it's an optical effect to do with the angle of observation.
I already said I don't think these two are related.
They are absolutely identical in terms of the optical effect being demonstrated. The only difference is, as the video rises in elevation, you can actually see the optical effect being created on the fly. Something that you absolutely don't get from Soundly. You know, let him do this observation. Let's see observations like Soundly's absolutely ludicrous pylons. Let's see him do that with a drone. Why does he go to completely different locations?
You're an evidence denier. This clearly shows it's an optical effect to do with the temperature and the elevation. And it literally happens before your very eyes. And you're going to deny this evidence because it goes against Soundly, and you're going to worship the shrine of Soundly regardless, correct?
No, I don't worship anybody.
You worship
Sorry.
Soundly
think
and his
that's you.
footage. You're saying
Think
that
you're
you've got enough evidence for your belief, and you told us it based on what Soundly had told you.
Are you open to adjusting your
Soundly
opinion?
is not the only reason I know the Earth is not flat.
Brilliant.
So can we retract the
Sorry,
statement
Soundly
about
isn't a reason at all to deny the Earth's obvious and observable flatness.
Hang on,
and I want you to
He's just said
concede that,
that's
Mike.
not the only reason. Then, therefore, can we retract the comment?
Before we move on to other reasons, I want a concession from Mike that this absolute garbage that Soundly presents is no proof of anything.
Do we need to do it again, Mike? Before you'll concede that it's the same effect.
Give Mike a few days to think about it.
He's just sat on mute.
I think these guys never get to the beach. They never get to.
Said he wants to talk to us.
Yeah, I have a girlfriend, and we have to talk sometimes.
I don't care about your girlfriend, right? Anthony has just shown you that the Soundly footage, the guy who worshipped your Messiah, this Soundly footage matches this optical effect demonstrated on screen right now. What is your reaction?
Is not good enough for me, so let's move on.
No, hang on.
No, we're not moving on. We need a concession from you. You're saying your justified belief when you entered
here. This is an open discussion, a show, that has guests. So, okay.
No, if you're not going to concede,
he's just rage quit. He's just sodded off. He's rage quit.
If you're going to deny that, just leave.
Rage quit. He has. He's rage quit. He's given up.
Right, and don't ever come back in with Soundly nonsense again, because it's the same thing over and over again.
I was kind of curious to hearing what other proof he had.
No, I wanted a concession on the Soundly point.
He didn't want it.
Yeah, no, I would have
Ballers don't
He's not here
concede.
to concede. He's here to tell the audience that Soundly proves the Earth's a sphere, and Soundly evidence, if he's not willing to concede that he's seeing the same effect, it's just a troll with a religious belief. You fundamentalist religious believers in this heliocentric model, you're not welcome here with your fundamentalist religious beliefs. Not interested in you coming here saying that Soundly proves it, and then we say, well, what about all the other photos? Go to Soundly's live stream, and then when we demonstrate unequivocally that the effect he is demonstrating is an optical effect that can easily be replicated, the guy says, no, I'm not interested in that. I want an open discussion. What are you talking about?
It's called evidence denying, and to be honest, I'll give him credit for leaving because he had to leave. Because if you're not going to concede the point is optical and it's been reproduced and shown to be optical, then you are a denier. And if you're going to deny it, what kind of conversation or debate can we have with somebody that will refuse to accept evidence that is identical?
People aren't interested in challenging him and saying, what about getting a drone going up? Anthony's just shown me how this guy on a road a few yards has replicated something similar. Any chance you can get your drone to just go up from your position where you've got these shots and show the same thing? See if we get the same phenomenon with your drone. Nah, I'd much rather film some totally random different location and show how the horizon's doing something crazy and globe related. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but what I would say is that his videos aren't fake. They're not fake. They are real observations, but it's just that they're filmed with some optical trickery. But they're not fake.
I showed evidence that there was fraud in those videos. I mean, you may disagree with that, but I don't like.
I support you with it.
I don't disagree with you at all,
or whatever, but I support you with it. But can I ask, did anybody remove that mic, or did he leave on his own accord?
He left on his own accord.
I didn't remove him.
No, he left of his own volition.
Good.
But I mean, Ranty, I would just say, I mean, I think you should be maybe open to the possibility that, people do fake videos and things like that. It's not impossible that people could make something fake like that.
The Rumpus claims that he could invalidate Nathan O'Reilly's point, but the link does not work.
Yeah, it does.
Well, if the link didn't work, how did that mic get in, Rumpus?
Well, no. The Rumpus, it's 10 minutes to the end of the show, and he always tries to come in for the last 10 minutes to make a little bit of a presentation and try and claim it. When he can sod off. If he wants to come in and out.
I agree. Rumpus, you're not coming in even if you do get the link. You're a moron. You're a dishonest baller, and you're a dishonest with evidence. You haven't come up with an explanation for why we can see floaty land. You haven't come up for the maths. You haven't come up for anything. And now Ranty's got an 18-mile observation that's the same as Soundly's, and it's flat as a pancake with no optical distortion and minimal visual.
No, it's just Chris.
So the rumpus, why is it that if we live on a sphere, why is it that Ranty's managed to do an 18-mile observation that's the same as Soundly's, and he doesn't show any of that wavy, bendy back here on its stuff? It's clearly not an optical effect. There is no bulge, there's no drop, and drop's the relevant number there because he's on the beach at 1 foot or so. You could have 10 if you really wanted to argue it, Rumpus. Mind you, you were more honest than other people. You can have the 1. I'm sure you'll accept it's the 1. But where's the bulge? Where's the drop? Why can't we see the same thing that Soundly shows, the Rumpus? Where's your model to explain the maths on the floaty land from the north of Isle of Man? I mean, you said you were going to release that simultaneously when I released the video, and I released the video, and 3 weeks on, it's no sign of it. What's going on? Have you got nothing for it? Where's the concession that the Earth mustn't be a ball then? You can't have it both ways. You can't sit there in silence, Rumpus. You're one of the protagonists.
Oh God, he's rambling on his same nonsense again.
He has yet to examine Ranty's footage. He's 100% wrong, but I'll be willing to do a hangout about Riley's video. Rumpus, there's getting a queue of information about these flatness claims now. But let's deal with the north of Isle of Man first. It should be 700 feet behind the curvature of the Earth. Why can it be seen when I was laying on my beach, on my belly at the beach? I mean, what's the maths for that? 700 feet.
Hold on.
I'd like to see how you've manipulated
let's get this
the
in
index.
then. If this is going to be on like Donkey Kong, then we will have to disclaim straight away that we are humouring Rumpus. Models are pseudoscience. And unless Rumpus is prepared to concede this, he has no proof of the presuppositional R value he will be using in his models.
No, he's denounced that. He's happy that Metabunk's wrong. Do you not remember?
It makes no difference about the 7/6 R that Mick West has inserted. R is constant for Earth. Let's be honest about this. The R value that he will be starting from is an Earth radius he has no proof of. Let's make that clear. I made this concession when you started this argument with the Rumpus. We are humouring the Rumpus because of his long-standing work that he does, entertaining our audience with his nonsense. So on account of that, we are prepared to humour him.
That Rumpus is a...
Fun. There'll be a few moments of OCD from Chris.
Hey Rumpus, did you like the shout out that you got on the Friday night, the opening ceremony or the opening presentation at the Flat Earth Convention? You were in that. You got laughed at. Rumpus, Rumpus, Rumpus. Rumpus is a cunt.
Oi, no swearing, please. No need for any of that.
Rumpus is a...
Where is it when you want it? I'm glad we are. We're getting a bit trolled. somebody's got to be in their bonnet.
Well,
you notice that we're singing along to it, so they stop.
Do some observation, guys.
Rumpus, you have no face. You've never actually shown your face.
So, predictions for today, guys. What am I going to see?
Rumpus.
What are you going to see?
Yeah. See.
What are the conditions? Do you know the conditions?
Yeah, it depends. You need to tell us the conditions afterwards, and then I'll tell you whether you can see it or not.
Well,
I can predict stuff.
Right
I can predict stuff. If you tell me what the conditions are, Ranty, I'll tell you if you can see it or not.
Well, I'm looking at the radar now, and it's absolutely clear. There's no clouds at all anywhere.
Well, what are you waiting for? Go down and do it now.
I've just said I'm leaving in 5 minutes.
Do you still want that PC building on Monday?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Right. The temperature is going to be about 15 degrees.
Oh, look at what he's put there. Sorry, Ranty. He says, take a theodolite with you and measure the radius of the Earth. Why are you still claiming that a theodolite will measure the radius of the Earth?
God.
We debunked it weeks ago.
Fake
we have an apparent horizon. It's clearly,
an apparent horizon, Rumpus.
Deaf or retarded, the Rumpus.
No, just dishonest. There is such a thing as a Fata Bromosa, and there's an inferior mirage and a superior mirage, and they all give you the perception that you're looking at the actual horizon, but you're not. You've debunked that one ages ago, yet you still cite it. You're a moron.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, rinse and repeat. Dogma, dogma. Sorry, Ranty, go on, carry on.
That the real Peanuts? How you doing, Peanuts?
Hey, what's going on?
Much.
Hi, Peanuts.
Hey, I just.
Sorry?
Say again? Oh, you're cutting out, Peanuts.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just got some tapping.
Your desk.
Your mic jack's loose or something. Great way to round out the show.
Popping.
So Mike Jones reckons that he didn't come onto the show to be bullied. That's why I left. Lol. Oakley cord. No, Mike, you left because you had to leave because you wouldn't make a concession based on evidence to the contrary that it might be optical that Soundly's showing. And you were invited to leave before you got kicked because you're being dishonest by dismissing evidence that proved that Soundly's evidence is optical.
He didn't get kicked, he left. Because he feels like he was being bullied on account of the fact that we showed him that what he had presented as his justifiable belief in a sphere, Soundly's evidence, was completely in line with an optical effect demonstrated by a man raising and lowering in altitude with some iron rails going along a bridge. And the same effect was achieved, and he said, I don't want to have this conversation. It's like, that's not us bullying you. We're saying, no, we want a concession that there is alternative explanations to what you see and claim is a justifiable belief in a sphere.
No, actually, I wanted the concession that Soundly's work was optical. You're being polite now. I wanted a full concession.
Fair enough. About a minute left if anyone wants to round out.
And once this show finishes, go over to Soundly's. He's only got one person live watching. It's probably himself.
Or not. Like if you like the show, dislike if you disliked it, all that sort of stuff.
I can't believe people really still think that Soundly's got anything in this conversation at all. I can only assume that he's a newbie, that guy, that Mike.
Mike's been around forever.
Yeah, it's a newbie comment though, isn't it? Soundly, refraction. Pfft, it's the kind of thing that Rumpus would push. Riley, you pick a day with poor conditions in which the horizon is obscured. That does not deny days in which the horizon is perfectly usable. People have done the same with sextants for centuries. No, Rumpus, I pick different days to see whether the conditions make any difference. And guess what? They don't. At all.
Get it right. Mike basically gets his point absolutely smashed into the ground and then claims victim status.
Mike, the internet's full of people like you. Why don't you do a harassment claim and see how far that goes?
And that's...
Say again.
Riley, you're a horizon denier.
Yeah.
Horizon denier. I like that.
What a moron. This is coming from the Rumpus who, remember, he made 2 predictions, none of which we asked him to do. But the predictions he said was one of them, there definitely won't be an inferior mirage, and it had the biggest inferior mirage I've ever seen in my life.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you've not done so already, be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!